Hey gang, John Bacarella here, Sportsman's Direct, with your fishing report for Lake St. Clair. Although this week I think we're gonna kind of stroll around the state a little bit after I give you the updates for out here. Man, what can I say? Cold, wind, rain, snow, warm, more snow, more rain, more wind. So it's been kind of crazy for the last 2 weeks out here, guys, and the water is quite a bit like chocolate milk. I've heard a lot of guys describe it. Some of them are describing it whether it's chocolate milk or chocolate milk with cream in it, depending on where you're at. They are still catching some panfish. Things have actually started to pick up a little bit behind the Selfridge location back there in the canal. It's not hot and heavy yet, but it is getting better day by day. Now, with that said, day by day, the lake keeps cooling off. Even though we've had little shots of warm air, it's predominantly been pretty cold. So water temperatures out there are 39 and below. The warmest temps I saw out there were 39. And you know, she's been skimming over almost every night. We've had a couple of times back here at Metro back in the marsh where that ice was almost ready to step on, and then we got warmed up again and we lost it. But you know, next week, looking at that weather forecast, we should finally lock up, at least the canals. You know, the lake's going to be dependent on what happens out here with the wind. You know, if we get the right winds, you guys can start watching middle to late week, start watching what's going to go on up there at that north end up by the raft. If we get some of that slush blowing up there and we got temps down at night in the low 20s, you can bet that'll lock up there quick. So start watching the canals. If you're dock fishing, you might want to start, after this weekend anyways, you might want to start carrying a spud bar with you to knock some holes in next to the docks, because you're probably going to need them. I talked with, actually didn't talk, I just texted a friend over that's got contacts over at the DNR to find out what's going on with the boat launches for you guys that are still hunting out there on the lake, and for some of you guys that are still chasing the muskies and walleyes and panfish out there. It sounds like the docks are finally going to get pulled at the state boat launches next week. So this weekend's probably going to be it. After that, if you're going to launch, and I don't even know if you're going to be able to launch once we get that cold weather next week, I got a feeling those boat launches are going to lock up and the guys are going to be chasing you out of there if they see you trying to launch a boat busting up that fresh ice. But if you do launch next week, you're going to want to be bringing kitty litter or rock salt or something on those boat ramps, because I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but it's pretty it's pretty bad news if you're dropping down in there with a boat and the ramp's all iced up. It can make for a really, really bad day. So mention the guys that are still probably chasing muskies and walleyes and panfish. There's almost nobody fishing out there. There's really just been a few guys going out. The guys that are going out are catching fish, but it has gotten tougher for sure. I've talked with Joel Anderson again today, and he basically said the same thing. He said, you know, it's really hard to gauge what's going on because the fishing pressure has been so darn light. Everybody has just got ice on the brain now. Gun season, you know, the guys have got everybody's got their deer in the freezer, and so next stop is first ice. So first ice, let's talk about that a little bit. I made some calls around the state for you guys that I know are itching, maybe want to drive north a little bit to get on the ice. I talked to Steve up at Pilgrims Village up there by Cadillac and Mitchell, and he said they've got anywhere from 4 inches tops to you're swimming. So he said, give it another week, guys. Maybe, you know, not this weekend, but next weekend you should have some safe ice. The local guys are poking around out there, but we definitely don't want to send guys up there and have you go through. We don't want to lose anybody out there just chasing that early ice. So I went a little further north and I talked to Lyman's. I talked to Kurt up at Lyman's. Basically the exact same report. You know, some of the local guys that are really familiar with the area are getting out in certain spots, but he said, hold off. Another week. They're not supposed to get snow up there. They're supposed to, just like us, they're supposed to get maybe a little bit of rain this weekend. And then after that, the cold weather is going to set in and we're going to start making ice, and it's going to make ice in a hurry up there. They've been a lot colder than we have, so they already have a base set up. So all they need to do is make some thickness now so the guys can move around, you know, without having to worry about hitting any of those real skinny spots or some of the places out there are still actually open water, small patches of open water, wet spots. You know the drill. So not quite ready. Another week and you guys will be able to go up there, and I think in another week, you guys are going to be starting to poke around on these canals down here, probably by next weekend, as long as this forecast sticks. Right now, that forecast has got after Sunday, we're supposed to get up to around 50, maybe with some rain. but then after that the bottom falls out and we should be a high of just maybe freezing and then lows down in the 20s or even lower. So the forecast looks like it's really holding. I watched several different sites to keep an eye on it, and I really think the canals are gonna lock up next week. You know, that's really all I've got, other than to say, you know, there's still some fishing going on up there in Lexington. I know they were still getting some fish up there at Caseville, but the same thing's going to be happening, guys. This is going to be the last hurrah, I really think, this week with the warm-up. And then after that, we're going to be talking about, you know, either waiting for the ice to get thick enough to get on, or you guys are going to be able to get on the ice some places. One other place, guys, that is really worth checking out locally right now, especially with the warm-up coming this weekend. Check that spillway out, check the Clinton River out. Any places that you can get over there on the Clinton River or along the spillway with this warm-up this weekend, I think you might be in for a nice surprise. I know that Clinton River has got some perch up in there. You guys know the little normal hangouts where you can sneak in there and fish from shore. The spillway is pretty much you can fish the whole darn thing. I know there's walleyes in the spillway. I haven't heard much on the perch in there, but they got to be in there, but they're probably getting moved around pretty good by those eyes. But definitely perch over there in that Clinton River area. I guess that's one of the big tips. They're starting to pick up a few fish back here in Metro as well, but it hasn't really gone great guns, at least on the perch and panfish back there. So with that said, that's all I got for this week. It's probably going to turn into much more of an ice report going forward here for sure, and then hopefully with that ice report there'll be some fishing reports to go along with it. With that, guys, I will see you hopefully next week with a real ice report.